So on Friday,
Yeah.
Luka Doncic hit a shot over Rudy Gobert that was seen and heard around the world by everyone but Adam the Bull. Adam the Bull did not see it.
I actually did, now that I think about it, because wasn't that the shot where he said, "You can't guard me"?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you missed it, and let's play tag board. Let's see Luka hit a shot over Rudy Gobert, the Defensive Player of the Year, to seal a Game 2 victory for the Dallas Mavericks. Absolutely beautiful. Which then got me to think, that's the Defensive Player of the Year. Luka just torched him. Does Kevin Love stop? And here's another angle of this, by the way. Just absolute perfection from Luka. But this made me go back and think about the 2016 NBA Finals. Does Kevin Love stop?
Carried that ball for like a minute.
Steph Curry, and here's the play, get anywhere near enough overall love and attention as it deserves. When you think about the finals, you think about the block, you think about Kyrie's shot. But this play on the reigning MVP, the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the league, Kevin Love, who is not known for his defensive prowess, stays right in front of Steph, forces him into a tough shot. I know, Jason, you were there. But does this individual play get the recognition it deserves for how incredible of a defensive effort this was from Kevin Love?
I actually think it does, at least locally. I mean, Dan Gilbert was the first one that sort of coined it, the block, the shot, and the stop, and that obviously is the stop. The most impressive part about that is he did it twice. Like, they let Steph get the ball back. So Kevin, I guess you could say, locked him up, or Kevin at least guarded him well there the first time. Steph gets rid of it and then gets it right back, and oh my God, Kevin's got to do it again. Easily the worst defender on the floor for the Cavs.
It was amazing.
And you know, you know Steph's going to shoot a three in that instance, so I don't know that you necessarily, if Kevin's really fearing that he's going to blow by him, at least you think he's going to take a three, so you have that luxury, if you want to call it that. It was. I remember Lee Jenkins did a story on Kevin after that, and Kevin said he blacked out during those 8 seconds that Steph's got the ball. He just sort of blacked out. It was a memorable night. It was an incredible night. I was thrilled to be there, and it was a great play by Kevin.
Did he not get enough credit? He got the worst contract in Cavs history after that. Of course he got enough credit.
I just don't feel like it's not remembered in the same revere.
Maybe not
because
nationally.
he wasn't as good as Kyrie, and he wasn't as good as LeBron.
But being good, some of the plays we're going to show you in a sec were not made by all-time great players. I just feel like that play was as significant.
I think locally it is remembered and revered, probably not nationally. Everyone remembers Kyrie's shot, and everybody remembers the block.
Of course. Because playing defense without blocking the ball is not going to ever, no matter who does it. But would you agree that that's the worst contract in Cavs history? The Kevin Love contract after that?
Tristan Thompson. What did Tristan get?
No, the Sean Kemp contract was pretty brutal, if you want to go back. I don't remember the details, but that one was
But we all knew Kevin Love was done being a really good player, didn't we?
The Cavs overpaid. The Cavs gave him more than he would have gotten in free agency, but they wanted someone to lead him through the rebuild.
It was an amazing play.
Great.
I still can't believe to this day that he hung with Steph Curry on that play, because he was terrible defensively.
He was terrible, but again, you're not really worried about Steph driving by you. Mike,
That's true.
Mike, what difference does that make as a defender when you're a big on a small, but you're not worried about him really taking you off the dribble? You know he's going to shoot a three. I think that played to Kevin's advantage.
Then why does he shoot
that
so
was
well?
Very particular.
But he should. That's Steph's fault, because it was 50 seconds left. You could go score two, be down one, play defense.
If you're Steph Curry, you're shooting a three.
That's his fault. He shouldn't be predictable.
Am I off, Mike?
I mean, to answer your question, it certainly helps knowing, but also when you're trying to guard Steph Curry, or if you're a slower-footed defender guarding someone of the shiftiness of Steph, I think you're just hanging on for dear life. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Love saying he blacked out, and I'm not making a joke by this, blacking out and not being able to think about it in the moment is the best thing that could have happened to Kevin Love, because you start thinking and trying to time your steps and moving laterally with Steph Curry as he's going forward, back, stop, start, he's screwed. And the fact that he blacked out and just let
nature
just let it kind of happen, let nature take its course, is probably the best thing that happened to him. But I asked you guys, outside of that play, what other plays throughout Cleveland sports history may not get the love that they probably deserve as time passed on? Now, Jason sent us a bunch of these. So, Jason, you could start. We'll run through yours, and then we'll get to Bull and Tyvis' after.
Is there a particular order, or you want me to just start?
Yeah, we have it in an order. So how about we start with Steve? Take this tag board full first, and Jason, you could walk us through all of these.
Which one you have? Okay, so the Sandy one. I was at this game. I was sitting in the auxiliary press box right out there in right field. and that place shook. So it's 2-1, I think, ninth inning, game
2-1,
4.
correct.
Indians are about to be eliminated by the Yankees in the ALDS. It's a best-of-5 series, and they're down in the ninth inning. They're down 2-1, and Sandy, out of nowhere, just hits this home run to tie the game.
Opposite field.
Yeah, the Indians go on. They win that game. They win the series, and they went from on the brink of elimination to go into the World Series that year. And the rule is you don't ever cheer in the press box. Everyone in that stood up. It was like, oh my! It was just such a thunderbolt type moment that nobody expected. And that was Sandy's just incredible storybook year in '97. He was named All-Star MVP. Hit a home run at Jacobs Field during the All-Star game that was here that year. Just a great year for Sandy. And that moment, I think a lot of people sort of forget it, but that was an unbelievable moment in Jacobs Field history. And just, again, it triggered a run to the World Series.
Bull, baseball trivia for you. Mariano Rivera allowed 2 playoff home runs in his career. You just saw one. Who hit the other?
Oh, boy. I'm going to say Luis Gonzalez.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
I was thinking the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, right?
Trying to whistle the Jeopardy
Not
song.
coming to me.
Is it an Indians player?
It is not.
Barry
It did
Bonds.
happen in a World Series, though. I'll narrow it down to a World Series.
Chipper Jones?
Incorrect.
It's not
Jay
coming.
Payton in the Subway Series.
Oh my God! I would never have
would've
guessed that.
I was thinking Padres. I was trying to think. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I
Sandy
found that when I was
Alomar
looking
and-
for that clip. That popped up. All right, Jason, the second play you sent us.
Yep.
Kenny Lofton. Run us through this one.
Huge 95 ALCS. Kenny on second base. Randy Johnson on the mound for the Mariners. Wild
unit.
pitch. Scores 2. I forget who was on third. I forget who scored from third on that. But Kenny scored all the way from second. You see the ball get away from Dan Wilson. It went farther than usual, and Kenny never stopped running. And there he comes in, shocked everybody to score from second base on a wild pitch, and that pretty much won the game for them.
That ballpark was a dump.
Yeah, it was the clinching game that sent them to their first World Series since '54.
What was the year that was it Seattle that they were playing? They was down like 12 runs or 14
Yes,
runs.
that was regular
and
season
That was regular
game,
season,
like
but yeah.
August.
That was
Yeah.
in 95?
No. That was like 98, 99, 2001, somewhere in there. But that was an
That is
unbelievable
incredible
moment
base
to
running.
score from. I mean, Randy didn't even know he was
didn't-
coming.
yeah.
Didn't even know he was coming. Kenny
Isn't it
never
funny that
stopped
he
running.
slid feet first?
Yeah.
You'd assume he slid head first,
first.
going home like that.
It's
but
an awesome clip, too, just to see Randy have no idea what's going
No.
on, and you can see down
How
the
is
third
nobody
baseline.
telling him on the team?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone saw him. I think Wilson was shouting to him as he threw the ball.
Yeah.
Because you saw Randy try and swipe tag at the last minute.
Yeah, that was a great
But
one.
I was in the newsroom of the Lorain Morning Journal that night, and it was like, all right, let's put the paper out. Cleveland's going to the World Series. That's pretty cool.
3 more from Jason. Next one, his lone play from the Browns. Jason, walk us through.
It's hard to come up with
Run, William,
plays. It's hard to come up with plays of the Browns over the last 20, 25 years. So I came up with Run, William, Run. Obviously, the great call from the great Jim Donovan. This was the touchdown run in the game that sent the Browns to the playoffs in 2002. And Jimmy screaming, "Run, William, run." And who knew that after that it would be, 18 years before the Browns would ever have another postseason appearance. But that just a great call. The clip doesn't do it justice without listening. Jimmy's radio call is what sells that as just a great play. And William Green had been, he was a first-round pick back in the day, back when the NFL valued running backs and took him in the first round, running back out of Boston College. And it was close that whole game to breaking one, and finally broke one that day.
They don't say it
On that
like
play.
they just drafted a running back in the first round 2 years ago. A running back went first round.
Bijan.
Bijan Robinson.
Okay, great.
Actually,
one.
two, because
Did
Jameer Gibbs.
Or Gibson.
Jameer Gibbs.
Well, I'm old enough to remember when half the first round was running backs. There were
Yeah.
6, 8, 10 guys were
This
running
new
backs.
day and age.
Speaking of running backs, Jason, your next one comes from a running back, except he was playing defense. Steve?
Oh, tell me this old state.
Oh, it is. Yeah. We've talked about this on the show before, but I was at this game too, covering it. 2002 National Championship game. Maurice Clarett with the play of the game. That game looked like it was over. Krenzel throws an interception to Sean Taylor in the end zone.
It's Sean.
And out of nowhere, Maurice Clarett steals the ball back. And it's still, to this day, I'll fight anyone. That is the best football game in the history of the sport. It's the best game I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. I'm telling you. They were shooting off fireworks, and Miami was celebrating on the field. And it wasn't over yet because there was a flag on the field. It was the most incredible game, and that is the biggest play from that game that hardly ever gets talked about. Maurice's football IQ was off the charts, and I think we talked to him about it on the show when we had him on about that play. It's burned into my memory. He was an unbelievable player his freshman year. He took college football by storm, played through the shoulder injury, and he was so smart. He had such a great feel for the game, but that play in particular, unbelievable awareness to take the ball back from a Hall of Fame. Yeah, Hall of Fame.
Like, that's the part that when I knew about the strip, but then like one day I was going back, I'm like, wait a minute, that's Sean Taylor. He did that too. Like, that's crazy to me.
Craig Krenzel was the quarterback.
Craig Krenzel. He was the leading rusher in that game. Craig Krenzel was the leading rusher.
I did not remember that.
For Ohio State. He was Ohio State. I think McGahee had more yards.
Every time I think about that game,
but Krenzel,
his knee was out the back of his leg.
Krenzel led Ohio State in rushing that game.
One more play Jason sent us. This one he dug deep into the archive to find, and it's actually a great call. I remember watching this back when I was in high school. Not to make you feel old, Jason.
Oh, my God. I was covering this one, too.
Oh, yeah. This is a hell of a shot from
Ron Lewis.
A guy in the Buckeyes.
Yeah, Ron Lewis. Forgotten. Ohio State against Xavier. Thad Matta against his old team. And Ohio State was going to lose. That was the team with Mike Conley and Greg Oden on it. And they were about to lose. And with 2 seconds left, Ron Lewis hit this. I mean, it seemed like a prayer three-pointer. I actually thought it was a lot farther than it was.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But, I mean, just an incredible shot. Because he wasn't a star player. Like, it was Oden, Conley, and Daquan Cook were on that team.
Yeah, Daquan.
And Ron Lewis was like a fifth-year senior from Columbus, if memory serves, and just hit a monster shot that triggered a run to the Final Four in the national championship game because they went from the brink of elimination in the second round. That was the second round game at Kentucky. Look at Sean Miller. Look how young he looks there.
It was actually a pretty good look for 2 seconds left.
Yeah.
It was a great play. That's actually a great play.
They wore shorts that long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's 2000. I actually noticed that, too.
This is Allen Iverson's fault, right?
That was 2007, and they went to the Final Four and lost to that Florida team with Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Corey Brewer, coached by Billy Donovan. That was I covered all those games at that NCAA tournament. That was a great run.
That was the last year I think that a national championship for football and basketball was the same.
They beat Tennessee.
And
they beat Georgetown.
Both of them.
Yeah, they lost both of them. They lost the 06 title. They got their doors blown off by Florida. And then came back. We talked to Anthony Gonzalez about that game. The whole game plan was built around Ted Ginn. Yeah. And then Teddy goes out because Roy Hall tackles him in the end zone after the return of the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Out for the rest of the game, and the playbook went with them. The whole game plan went with them.
And last one, but Tyvis mentioned the Rajai Davis home run, which...
No, I mentioned
No, he mentioned
Oh, you mentioned that. Tyvis mentioned a DPJ
Although I don't think
catch.
it's an underrated moment, but I just like seeing it.
Well, let's play it one more time. We might as well. It's always fun to watch. And then we'll move on and talk a little Browns here. But Steve, take tag board, and Bull, walk us through the final play here.
I mean, this is one of the most
Look how much he's choked up on the bat.
One of the most unlikely things you'll ever see in sports. I mean, Aroldis Chapman, now, I know he'd been overworked in this series, but he was still in his prime. Mm-hmm. He was still throwing over 100 miles an hour. Rajai Davis was not a power hitter, didn't hit home runs.
Look how choked up he is. He's halfway up there.
And, like, I still can't believe that was a home run.
I know.
And the place was bonkers.
Yep.
If the Indians had won the World Series that year, that would have been the most legendary moment ever.
Yeah. He had his jersey retired.
I mean,
there were rain
such
delays.
A nice guy, Rajai, too.
And he loves talking about it. He'll talk about it all day.
Hey, I would argue, and I know people will be upset, because you could argue this was the greatest World Series of all time.
I totally agree.
I
totally agree.
And the Indians have played 3 pretty amazing World Series in our lifetime.
I mean, 97, Game 7, brutal.
Yeah.
But I think the 16 one was even better.
That series is, you talk about 2 teams that hadn't won in forever.
3-1, Cubs coming. I mean, no one wants to talk about it.
Wasn't you at that game?
I did not go.
I was at that game.
I couldn't be there.
I was at every one of those games except the Run William Run, I think.
No.
I did the Ohio State title game.
You are old.
I did the basketball
I was
run.
saying the same thing, Ty.
I did.
You are.
I was at the Rivera, the Sandy home run game.
You are really that old.
Yeah.
I was
In 97, I was 3, man.
Oh my God. I was 21. I was still in college, but I was working for the local newspaper. I didn't go to class like the whole month of October. I just blew off.
I was at games 1, 4, and 5 of the 16 World Series, but I did not go to game 7.
I was in the press.
You skipped class?
Oh, the whole month. The whole month. And I only covered the home games.
You know what? That's sad because me as a football athlete, I went to class every single day.
I never went.
I've never missed class except after I graduated. I started cutting classes because I had my degree already, so it was pointless.
I was laying
Why would you have to go to classes after you've already
Because
graduated?
you have to be eligible to play in the season. You have to have 6 credit hours to be able to be eligible. And if you want to play in the bowl game, you have to pass 6 credits. So I had 12, but I only needed 2 classes to pass. So a wise friend of mine said one day, I was sitting there, I had all these classes, I had like 3 of them online. And I was like not really paying attention to them because I was so focused on the season.
Yeah.
And Cardale Jones said to me, he said, why you worried about all these classes? You only need 6 to be bowl eligible. I said,
that's it.
2 of them classes I could care less.
And before, I forget now the details around it. Reggie Germany, did you hear the Reggie Germany story?
No,
remember Reggie?
Yeah.
Reggie Germany had a 0.0 GPA. 0.0. But he still played in the Outback Bowl because I guess the quarter fell after the bowl game, the way that it fell. He had a 0.0.
Isn't it laughable that they care about that? Or they did. I mean, now they don't.
Well,
I mean, the fall that I skipped the whole month of October, I had a 1.7 GPA. I mean, I got better after that. But I had a 1.7 G. I remember laying on my mom and dad's couch watching Game 7, and they lose, and I'm like, well, I got to go back to class now.
No more excuses.
No more excuses.